Hello and welcome to Disney Travel Tales, a podcast that allows you to immerse yourself in someone's recent Disney trip. I'm Jenny, and I'm so happy to be here with you talking about my favorite thing, Disney trips. Join us every Friday as we explore the parks or cruise ships with a new guest and learn inside tips and tricks to hopefully help make your vacation go a little smoother. Make sure to subscribe to the show wherever you are listening so you never miss a new episode, and I would love it if you left a positive review on Apple Podcast or Spotify. This is the easiest way to support the podcast. Another way to support the podcast is to use me as your travel agent at no cost to you. Email me at jenny@trolleylanetravel.com. Let me do all the hard planning while you sit back and count down the days to your vacation. Okay, so let's get going with today's show. Hello, you are listening to episode number 82, and I am here with Aiden, and we are going to talk all about our day we spent at Typhoon Lagoon when we visited Walt Disney World at the end of June into the beginning of July.
Hello, everyone, and thanks for having me on, Mom.
Yes, so I'm really excited to talk about this episode. I was really excited to visit Typhoon Lagoon. This was my first time visiting one of Disney's water parks. Disney has 2 water parks, but they're never really open at the same time. And so during the summers, typically Typhoon Lagoon is open, and then in the off-season, Blizzard Beach is open. So we had the pleasure of visiting Typhoon Lagoon. So there are a couple of ways that you can visit Typhoon Lagoon. You can just buy a water park ticket, or you can add to your park ticket, your vacation ticket, a Park Hopper Plus, and that's what we did. So we actually went to Epcot this morning. If you listened back in episode 80, that was our trip report. Aiden had senior pictures this morning in Epcot, so we spent the morning in Epcot. We went and had lunch at the Riviera Resort, and then from the Riviera Resort, we ordered a Lyft to get over to Typhoon Lagoon. Typhoon Lagoon, the only way to get there is by bus, and it's kind of a different situation. So you have to ride a bus over to Disney Springs, and then from Disney Springs, get on a bus to Typhoon Lagoon. Typhoon Lagoon is very, very close to Disney Springs. I think maybe like a 5-minute ride. So instead of going through all of that, we were already not running late, but the park had already opened, and so we kind of just wanted to get there. So we decided to just take a Lyft from the Riviera to Typhoon Lagoon. It was a pretty short ride. I'm going to say like 10 minutes, don't you think?
Mm-hmm. It wasn't long at all.
Yeah, and so once we got over there, it was really easy to just scan our magic bands and get into the park. So Aiden, what was your first impression walking into Typhoon Lagoon?
I thought it was pretty cool. I kind of just got the vibe of just like a normal water park, especially when you're walking in. There wasn't really anything like Disney until you like walked a little bit further in, and then you got like the whole view of the entire park, where it's just felt like a really cool looking water park. Like you could just see the giant wave pool right in front of you, and then the mountain with the shipwreck on top of it. Like it's a very pretty park.
I agree. So we've, being from Texas, we've been to quite a few water parks, and this water park was really pretty, and it really stayed on theme of like a shipwreck type of park. So there's this giant wrecked ship on top of this mountain that's kind of in the very back, that you can see from almost all parts of the park. So you get that shipwreck feel. They also have different little shipwrecks throughout the park to see. And yeah, we really, just walking in, I had a really good impression of it. It felt busy. I'm not sure what Typhoon Lagoon is typically like, but looking out into the wave pool and the lazy river, it looked really busy. And so I actually was a little bit nervous about that. You can't use any like Genie Plus here or anything. You kind of just have to wait in the line. So the first thing we did is we went over to the restroom area with the lockers, and we rented a locker to store our stuff in for the day. And then we changed into our swimsuits, which Aiden was already in his. I changed into my swimsuit. The locker rental, I don't remember how much it was, but it was not expensive. It might have been like $8 or $10. And I also really recommend if you are going to do a water park to get one of those plastic waterproof cases for your phone. That was really nice to have so I could keep my phone with me and not have to carry anything else.
Another important tip is to bring your own towels or bring like hotel towels because when you get here, you have to pay for towels.
That is true, but we learned as we were leaving that Disney resort guests would get towels for free, but we did not know that, so we thought we were going to have to rent towels, and I was like, there's no way I'm renting a towel.
I forgot about that.
First of all, it was so hot, like very, very hot. I thought we are going to dry immediately. We didn't have a cabana. You can rent cabanas here. We weren't going to be there for the entire day, so I didn't want to spend time just sitting in a cabana. Our goal was just to do as many rides as we could possibly do before we needed to leave. I also really recommend having some kind of water shoe because the ground is really hot. And so I had like a slip-on water sock type shoe. It was great. It worked great. Aiden went barefoot and kind of had to run through certain areas because it was hot.
It wasn't that bad. If you're used to a hot floor, it's not that bad, but if you're not used to it, definitely get some water shoes.
Yeah, I do recommend it, especially if you have little kids. So the first thing we did after we got all changed and everything, we were really hot. So we just decided to go to the wave pool. Now, I have been, like I said, to many water parks. I've been to many wave pools. I have never been to a wave pool this intense. It is called Typhoon Lagoon Surf Pool, and these are the biggest, strongest waves I've ever seen in a wave pool.
It's definitely one of the best wave pools I've ever been to. It's very close to, there's one in Schlitterbahn, where it's like a lazy river and a wave pool. So I feel like that one and this one are like tied for first place because this one's just a normal wave pool, but the waves are just like huge. It's like a actual like beach.
They're huge, and the undertow is so strong. Mm-hmm. So we first go out, and we're just kind of standing there in the waves, or like, I don't know how deep we went, but we went deep enough we were like swimming, and the waves come by. But watching the people in front of you get like totally murdered by these waves was so crazy. Like they hit you so hard. We were not expecting that. Aiden loved it. Mm-hmm. He actually went out really deep. You went to the deepest part, right?
Yeah, I did. I tried them all. So like if you go all the way out to the very deepest part, the waves aren't crashed. They're just like giant waves. And then like in the middle, that's where they actually crash. And then towards the back, it's just like a lot calmer. So
I stayed in the middle for a little bit, but I was getting just tortured by these waves. I actually have a funny video I'll put on my Instagram where I'm trying to video a wave and then it just like completely takes me out. It was so crazy. And my hat flew off and I'm like scrambling in the water to try to get everything. It was so funny. So then I went up to the shore. They have like some rocks kind of off the ground that you can sit on and dangle your legs into the water. So I thought, oh, well, Aiden's out there having fun. I'm just going to sit on these rocks and I'll be fine. Oh no, the waves come in and totally crash into those rocks and almost pull you into the water if you're not careful. Like it was so funny. I really enjoyed it. But it is definitely intense. Mm-hmm. And then, so when Aiden got done with the waves, we decided to go and do some water slides. So we walked around. Again, it felt really crowded. I was kind of worried at this point what the wait times were going to be for the water slides. So we just decided to walk over and kind of check it out. As we were walking over, we started walking back towards where the big shipwreck is, which is kind of at the very back of the park. There's a bunch of water slides over there. So we started walking over there and we saw the lazy river, which actually has its own name. It's called Castaway Creek. That looked crazy crowded. But we just kept walking and we kind of found this little trail. It's called the Mountain Trail. And it walks back where you're right under the ship. We walked across a like suspension bridge that looked kind of rickety. And once we got to it was actually really pretty, wasn't it?
It was a really good view of just like the entire park.
It was higher up, so from there you could kind of look out and see the whole park, and you could really see how big the park was. Because when you're walking into the park, you're kind of at a lower level and you're looking up. And I mean, you can't see it all. So you're like, well, I don't even know how big this park really is. But when you're standing up in the back where the ship is and you're looking down, you really get a great view of how big this water park is. So yeah, that was like a nice little walk. When we got to the end of that, we saw a tube ride called Gangplank Falls. So we decided to get in line for that. I think the line, it said like it was a 20-30 minute wait. At this point, the park seemed really crowded. So we were like, we're just going to have to wait. So we got in line. We only probably ended up waiting like 15 minutes.
Yeah,
like it wasn't long.
Minutes.
And while you're in line, also they have water misters, so you never really get hot, which was also kind of nice. So this ride, we had no idea what to expect. We didn't know anything about it. But it is a giant tube that like 4 or 5 people can sit in. There were just 2 of us. So they kind of just make you sit with your family. Like you don't have to sit with strangers, thankfully. Once we got to the front, we got in the tube and it was a pretty slow, non-scary water ride.
Well, it went by super quick. The ride itself was probably not even a minute long in length. The ride was super slow, but it was also, you were just bouncing off the walls like crazy. So that was pretty fun. Seeing my mom go crazy because
you're just kind of bouncing and spinning and water's pouring on you. But there's no big drops. There might have been a couple of little drops, but it is an incredibly short ride. So I think this ride would be great for families that have small kids because you would be able to ride it and it would be fine for them.
Mm-hmm.
So when we got off of this, we saw the famous like Typhoon Lagoon Mickey float. So we went and saw that and took some pictures. So over by Gangplank Falls, there were 2 other tube rides. One was called Mayday Falls, and the other one was called Keel Hall Falls. The lines for these looked really, really long. Like these lines could have been around an hour long. It looked really long. Even though one thing we did notice is that even though the lines sometimes said they had a long wait, they never were actually as long. But anyways, these were the only 2 rides we actually did not end up doing. So after we rode that tube ride, we decided to walk back through the trail. We found kind of a different trail to walk around where you like walked through a cave. It was just nice. It was really pretty. And we went back over and we found 2 other sets of slides. One was called Humunga Cowabunga. This one said it had a 5-minute wait. It pretty much did. Like you just kind of walked up, waited your turn and went down. They were 3 just body slides that go straight down and you kind of land out in a body tube type of thing. I hated this ride. When was the last time you visited a Disney park? For many adults, it's been a really long time. I would love to help you fix that situation. As a travel agent specializing in Disney, my job is to make sure your vacation can go as seamless as possible. All of my services are complimentary to my clients. Yes, you heard that right. I'm free to you. These services include helping you from the start finding the perfect resort to fit your needs, handling all the bookings and reservations, helping to teach you about the parks because if it's been a while, man, have they changed. I have insider tips and tricks I share with all of my clients, and I will be your single point of contact throughout your entire trip, even while you are there. Don't wait another year to visit a Disney park or go on a Disney cruise. Let this be the year you finally go. Email me at jenny@trolleylanetravel.com to get the conversation started, or see the link in the show notes to fill out my quote form. All listeners that book a trip with me will receive a $20 gift card to use on their trip. Just make sure you say you heard this on the podcast. Okay, now back to the show.
Hey parents, do your kids listen to podcasts? Do they like solving mysteries and flexing their imaginations? Mysteries at Riddleton Elementary is a new children's mystery podcast. Your kid can join Billy Bonanza and Susie Sockington on exciting and wacky adventures as they attempt to solve mysteries around their school. Mysteries at Riddleton Elementary is available now on all podcast platforms.
So I really like quick throw rides. And this ride would have been really fun in my opinion if it wasn't for how uncomfortable not just this ride, but like every non-tube ride, like water slide is at Disney just in general. Like even at like the hotels and stuff, you can like feel the bumps between each section of like the slides getting put together. So you just feel that on your back and super uncomfortable and it almost like hurts. Which is like something I've never really like felt like going to like a water park in Texas. Everything's just like smooth. It's like a smooth experience and it like doesn't hurt your back like all the non-tube slides did.
Yeah, you could definitely feel bumps and stuff. This ride, it's just literally you go straight down and you just kind of shoot out in this tube and
No, we were in a tube.
it's not a tube, but it's like it's not like you fall into the water.
Yeah.
Which I don't really like slides like this anyway. I was trying to be a risk taker and I was like, I hated that slide. I'm not riding any more body slides. So then we walked over and saw another set of slides called Storm Slides. And I thought this was the same type of thing. So I told Aiden, why don't you just go? I'm going to stay here and wait. This one, again, it said a 5-minute wait, even though the line was a little bit longer. But then I looked over and I walked to where the slides come out and you dump out off the slide into a pool. And so I was like, oh, well, I might actually like this slide. And it wasn't just a straight down slide. It was more of like kind of an adventure. Yeah, like a windy slide. So I started going up the stairs to kind of catch up to Aiden. And we ended up doing this slide. I think we waited 10-15 minutes for it, even though it only said a 5-minute wait. It definitely took a little bit longer. I think because everyone rushed over there when they saw it was a short wait. Mm-hmm. This slide, when you get to the top, you have 3 different options of which ones you want to go down. And we chose different ones. And I really liked this slide. I thought it was a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. Again, it was uncomfortable. Like it did have the ba-bump, ba-bump, ba-bump on your back when you're going down it.
That is like really uncomfortable when you're going down the slide.
But other than that, this was a really fun slide and I enjoyed it. So after we did that, we decided to just kind of walk to the other side of the park. One thing that I did not love about Typhoon Lagoon is when you are in the park, kind of on park level, you have no idea where you're going. And I didn't feel like the app was very helpful to help us get anywhere. So we just kind of started walking. Like we used the Castaway Creek as our guide on where to go, or the big surf pool in the middle, like I always kind of, and the shipwreck. So if you kind of have landmarks, you'll figure out where you're going. But we literally had no idea what the rides were going to be like. We had no idea what kind of ride we were even walking over to. We just kind of started walking to find a ride to do.
So when we were standing in line for Storm Slides, we could see this giant like water slide over on the other side of the park. We found out later it's called Misadventure Falls. And so that's where we're headed right now. And on our way there, we saw my second biggest inspiration of the entire trip, which if you guys remember our trip report, and Dole Whip Lady, she was my biggest inspiration. This is my second biggest. So we're walking there, and obviously there are 2 different sides, like people walk on.
Well, it's like a road you drive on. Like people heading one way, we were all on the right side, and the people coming towards us, they were all on the left side. Like it was a nice flow of traffic.
And there was this one lane, she got this Mickey pretzel in front of us, and you can tell she was just in a really bad mood. And she just comes like marching down just the middle of the road, and everybody just like parts the Red Sea so she could get through. Because you could just like tell she was just in a bad mood, and she just like needed to get her Mickey pretzel and sit down.
She was funny. Charging through the opposite traffic, just holding her pretzel out in front of her. It was crazy.
It was really funny.
Even the people in front of us started laughing because it was just bizarre. Mm-hmm. Just cutting
Mickey
in front of everyone.
The best.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so then we made it over to Misadventure Falls that had a 10-minute wait, which is about what we waited. And this is a tube ride. So it's another large circle tube that multiple people can sit in. And it takes you up like a conveyor belt.
The conveyor belt cooks you. Like, sometimes it has to like stop so people can get in the tubes in time, and you're just waiting, and like there's no water on this conveyor belt,
and it's
so you're
black.
Literally,
the conveyor belt's black,
so you're literally getting cooked.
So hot. Like every time it stopped, we were like, "Oh my gosh, it's so hot."
But the ride itself was really fun. Once you went down it, it was probably the best tube ride there, or just best ride there, probably just in general.
Yeah, really this was a really fun tube ride. It has a couple of steep drops. It had lots of big twists and turns, water falling on you, dark tunnels that you would go through, which those are fun to me when you're on a tube, when you go in a dark tunnel, and when you come out, you really have no idea what's going to happen. But we really enjoyed this ride. This was a great ride. And I think this was the ride you lost your magic band on.
Oh, yes, it was.
Yeah, which we never got back.
Yeah.
Because he didn't realize he lost it until later. But this was about the time that he remembered not having it on his wrist. So after that, we just kind of started walking. And there was another tube ride called Crush and Gusher. This was a ride where you have to kind of wait by the water for people to come out. You grab your tube and then you have to carry it up all these steps, like lots and lots of steps. And again, there were 3 different lines you can choose from. I felt like ours was definitely probably the slowest line.
It took a while.
Yeah, this one we probably waited 20, 30 minutes for. But yeah, and I think it said it had a 10-minute wait, which wasn't true. Because that's why we went over there. So yeah, this was a really fun ride too. Like this was just a 2-person tube. So I sat in front and Aiden sat behind and right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And this was a fun ride. We enjoyed this one as well. Cause it had some steep drops and some turns and all that fun stuff. So after Crush and Gusher, we had kind of done most of the slides. Like I said, there were only 2 slides left for us to do, and we didn't really feel like walking over to the other side of the park to do that. So we just decided to go ahead and find a spot where we could hop in the lazy river, which is called Castaway Creek. So we hopped in, and instead of I think we might have started off with a tube.
Yeah, I think we did.
But then we got out of the tube because this river was so crowded. So if you were going to be in a tube, you were just going to kind of be like bumping into other people the whole time. So we just decided to kind of swim it out. And did we go around twice?
No, I think we only went around once. But it's like such a giant lazy river that it like takes like a good 30 minutes to go around it entirely.
Yeah, we either went around once or twice, but it is huge. But it was fun. It was just really, really, really crowded. And so,
and a bit gross. Like there was some points where the water was just like not blue anymore. And it was basically still.
And there was like hair in the water.
Yeah. It's like definitely not one of the best lazy rivers I've been in.
No, I think probably the nicest lazy river I've ever been in was at Alani.
Oh yeah, that one was a really
But
nice
there was it wasn't too crowded. This one, it just felt a little bit different.
This one was pretty rough. Definitely the low of Typhoon Lagoon.
Yeah, we had fun though. We kind of later made jokes about the lazy river, and so it ended up being funny. Like we turned it into like a funny experience. But yeah, and so after that was pretty much our day. We had done everything but 2 rides. It was I think it was like around 4:30, so we got there at 12:30, and we had pretty much done everything but 2 rides around 4:30. There are some kiddie play areas, like they have some little slides for kids called bay slides. They have like a splash pool area for little kids that we call Catch a Kitty Creek. So I saw that and I saw kids over there and they looked really fun, especially the bay slides. Like those are great small slides for little kids. But again, we had no reason that we needed to go over there and partake in that. We had also ate before we went, and so we didn't stop and eat any of the food. It pretty much looked like just what you would expect water park food to be, like chicken tenders, hot dogs, burgers. They had some ice cream sundaes that you could get, but we didn't need any of that. We actually decided at this point that we were going to just go ahead, leave, get on a bus, and head over to Disney Springs. So yeah, that was our day at Typhoon Lagoon. I really think Typhoon Lagoon is a great option, especially if you're going in the summer. Like that was one thing that was really nice about it is we had already had 2 really hot park days. And so kind of having this water park day in the middle minus certain moments while we were there, we were never really hot because we were pretty much always in the water.
Well, yeah, we're always making like time out of the day to like get in the water, cool off.
So it was nice. Like, I really enjoyed our time there, and I thought it was a great break in our trip.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are going to do Typhoon Lagoon, I really recommend just getting the Park Hopper Plus option, because it's, especially if you're already getting a Park Hopper on your ticket, it's not even that much more. And so, yeah, it was a really fun day. So what was your least magical moment at Typhoon Lagoon?
Probably Castaway Creek. Like, that was, it was fun looking back on it, like making fun of it, but it was really nasty.
My least magical moment was the Humunga Cowabunga water slides. Like, I don't know if I'm just too old for body slides like that, but it like rattled me. When I was laying on that slide at the bottom of it, I just literally was like, what the heck did I just do?
You should go on one of those like drop slides, the one where
no,
like,
that was absolutely not. Absolutely not. Like that, this slide was just way too much for me. What was your most magical moment?
Definitely Pretzel Lady. That was magical. The confidence she had to just walk in the middle of the road and part it like the Red Sea is crazy. But if I had to choose the second one, I would probably choose Misadventure Falls. That ride was very fun. It honestly just like made Typhoon Lagoon just like a really fun water park. It was just like a really cool ride. It felt like a Disney ride, like where the other rides kind of just felt like normal water park rides. So definitely the best right there.
Yeah, this park definitely doesn't feel overly Disney. You see Disney things here and there, but it did not. It really could have been any water park for the most part. Mm-hmm. My most magical moment was walking through the trails when we first got there. That was kind of like a hidden surprise, something I wasn't expecting. And it was really beautiful. They have all different kinds of trees. There were shady spots. The bridge walking across it over the Castaway Creek. Like, I just really enjoyed that part. I thought it was really fun. Being kind of under the big shipwreck ship, seeing it, I thought it was really great. I enjoyed that. During the summer, Castaway Cay offers H2O glow nights, which I think this would be really fun. And looking back on our trip, I wish we would have done a glow night at Castaway or at Typhoon Lagoon instead of the Epcot after hours. Like, don't you think going to the park at night and it being all lit up and doing everything with less people there, it just would have been a lot more fun?
Yeah, that would have been really cool.
Yeah, so I really recommend that. Also, if you didn't want to spend a whole day at the water park or kind of dedicate one of your vacation days to the water park, look into one of these nighttime events there, because I think that would be so much fun. And with less people there, I think you would have a better experience. Thank you for listening today. I really appreciate you spending your time over here with us, and I hope this was just what you needed to hear today. I'm always looking for new guests for the podcast, so if you are traveling to any Disney park or cruise, see the show notes for more information about being on the show. Visit the show all around the web at DisneyTravelTales.com or find us on Instagram and Facebook at Disney Travel Tales. See pictures from the guests on their vacations, plus this is just a great way to stay up to date with all things related to the podcast and Disney travel in general. Join me next week with a brand new episode. So until then, this is Jenny, and may all your Disney travel dreams become a reality.